5 years ago today, Patrick Mahomes won his first Super Bowl, and the Chiefs made their annual or semi-annual trip down to that location, New Orleans. There on the ground. What does it mean? How do they start their week of prep? That's today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We're brought to you by LinkedIn. They help you find the qualified candidates that you're looking to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. As they always do to everything we do here at Locked On Sports, we take care of you. This is Locked On Chiefs, part of that podcast network. Thanks for making us your first listen. Make another Locked On show your next listen, especially the Eagles show this week. We're going to talk one-on-one with them later in the week on Thursday. Don't miss that. We're going to have our standard lineup. Matt Derrick, our beat reporter, the man on the ground inside the Chiefs organization, will be here Wednesday. And we're going to preview this entire Super Bowl layout, even with some twists and turns on Friday, so don't miss that. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, as well as NFL33.com and RGR Football, together with my partner, Chris Clark. Over at KC Chiefs Corner, you can find that much more information outside of this podcast over on those outlets. And if you want that much more, you can be a loco too. Our everyday listeners always on the line at 816-357-8781, our text line. Excited about this week. There's a few things you got to have, and especially in a week that you need to prepare for a big contest to get that Lombardi. Those things are coming up later in the show. It is going to be a crazy week. What has to happen and what needs to happen are very, very different things. We're going to talk about those here coming up a little bit more and how the Chiefs can navigate their way through. But it all starts where it starts. A week of prep is in the books, and the Chiefs have made the trip down to New Orleans. And by annual trip, I mean to a Super Bowl location, not to New Orleans itself. There might be some other teams that are down there, but they're on vacation because there's only two teams playing in this ballgame. The Chiefs are one of them. I'm glad that it was a very low-key weekend for the Kansas City Chiefs. They got through their last practice Friday. The only questionable designation for anyone is Sky Moore, who's still on IR, so you're not losing anything. Nothing affects the 53. In this case, quiet is good, right?
Quiet is extremely good. Go back the 3 times that they've won the Super Bowl. It's been quiet. The one time they lost, it was not. And that was a whole nother issue, but reality is reality. I mean, all you want this time of year is for quiet. You want your team to be your team. You want your team to, take responsibility for what they're doing, keep their eye focused on what they're doing, and understand they're less than a week away from playing in one of the biggest. I would love to say, here's the problem. You can't really say it's the biggest game of most of their lives because a lot of the rosters played in several of them.
Right? Just the most recent biggest game of their lives.
Right. So, you're sitting here in a situation where Kansas City knows what they're getting themselves into. They're now in New Orleans, headed south again. The last time, 5 years ago, as you said, they were at Hard Rock in Miami, and they won their first Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. So, we'll see what happens. I'm really going to be curious to see what kind of information we get. And the one that I really don't understand, and you kind of touched on this too, Sky Moore doesn't make sense as to his potential activity for this game, but that's just my thought process on it.
Well, that's over at this point. Clearly not going to designate him to return. That's fine. I think that writing was on the wall at the time. So I don't think you want to upset the apple cart here. You don't want any drama going on this week. You don't want anything. You don't want to be in the situation that the Dallas team is in the NBA. You certainly don't want that kind of pub right now. Yep. You don't want guys distracted. You don't want Travis trying to go to the Grammys with his girlfriend tonight. None of that. Like, everybody just get in the hotel, settle down. We're going to do a walkthrough in a ballroom of all things. And, we're going to keep our noses clean. That's the way we want it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's exactly what Kansas City is going to have. This team knows what they're going after. Travis Kelce, you talk about, going to the Grammys with Taylor Swift. Obviously, he knows what is at stake. This is his legacy. I don't think he's going to tarnish that by doing anything different than what he's doing. Now, would Travis of 10 years ago been a guy that was going to try to go do something like that? Yeah, guarantee he would have been. Now, would he have? I don't know. But
yeah, Super Bowl week.
He has completely changed. He's a different player than he was from 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And they need that because that evolution is part of how you keep things quiet and you teach all the younger guys that are on this roster some significant contributions from the rookie class, a boatload of contributions from the second and third year players on this roster. So yes, there's a draft class here that knows nothing but Super Bowls to this point. It's a rough life when that's what you walk into, and yes, you're contributing to it. But hey, I mean,
there's 2 draft classes.
Yeah, fair enough. And you still have to maintain that focus because they don't know anything else. So I think this is one of the situations that really stands out to me, that how what a culture is when you get there, and the expectation, the level of professionalism carries down. And once you establish that, it's easier to continue it than it is to rebuild it from scratch. Like we know so many other franchises just can't get that culture right because there's no living example of it.
No, and that's huge. I mean, you go back to when Mahomes was in the Super Bowl for the first time. Kansas City hadn't been there for 50 years. Like there was no real thought of experience. They had no idea what they're getting themselves into. Andy Reid had been to a Super Bowl, had never won a Super Bowl. It's a completely different scenario now. You are the elder statesman, if you want to put it that way. And Mahomes is an elder statesman at 29 years old. Don't forget, he's not even 30 yet. And he's going to his 5th Super Bowl with the potential to win his 4th Super Bowl. There's going to be so much to talk about, and we kind of touched on this last week about Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and all of that. The reality is that there is no equal in sports right now. Patrick Mahomes is that guy, as some other people have been before him, but he is that guy right now in sports. And that's going to be the reality as long as Kansas City continues to win. And it doesn't really necessarily mean that they have to be the Super Bowl every year. They just have to be successful. But when you look at what this game means and what this could mean for the NFL overall and just a dynasty talk and all of that, winning the 3rd in a row, you've already done something that no other team has ever done, and you've gone to your 3rd straight Super Bowl. Winning the 3rd in a row sets you apart for probably ever. Because I don't think that there's going to be very many teams that have the opportunity to get back and go three-peat on a Super Bowl run in the NFL with today's day and age and parity the way it generally is most of the time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And folks, if you missed that show, go back and check out last Friday. Yes, I did say the words Jordan and Gretzky in the same breath with Patrick Mahomes. And if you don't get those references, go watch some sports history real quick before you listen to the show. It'll help, I promise you. A lot of things will help, and that is like surviving and navigating the crazy week that is ahead. And I don't just mean the first night. It's all there. How do they do that? Coming up next. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means it's time to hire. You need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it free and easy to post for free on your profile with your network and get qualified candidates that you're looking for all in one place. So post your job. The new feature can even help you write job descriptions and then quickly get in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's the pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find the high quality hires right away. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Make sure you check out Locked On affiliates everywhere, all kinds of shows on all kinds of sports and everyone in the NFL. And definitely check out our pals over at the Eagles show this week because we're going to talk to them later in the week and set everything up for Super Bowl 59 as we get ready. This is going to be a crazy week. You're going to hear some of our Locked On hosts on some of the media calls. Yours truly will be at least attending. We'll see if I get a question in with anybody. There'll be a little bit back and forth. But that's the nature of this week. There's all kinds of media opportunities. This week is less about practice than it is about everything else. That's why last week was so difficult.
No, and I laugh because it's funny to me because if you would have told us when we started this show 8 years ago that we would be continuing, not that we would be continuing to podcast, I don't think that would be a question, that we would be dealing with Chiefs Super Bowl dynasty talk and continuously talking about football and the Chiefs still playing football in February, we both probably would have looked at you like you were crazy. And it's funny. The reason I'm sitting here laughing is because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, normally you would be already on to the draft right now.
Yep.
But can't do that.
No. I've been late to the last, 5 drafts. That's basically the way that it's worked out.
Yeah. So, but it's fun. I mean, we are watching history. We're watching NFL history. We're watching Chiefs history. And you're absolutely correct. This is going to be a crazy week. The nice thing, and we've said this multiple times, but I'll say it again, Kansas City, for the most part, knows what to expect and knows what's going on. I'll be very curious to see who is available for the media, because just about all the players, unless you're a rookie named Xavier Worthy, I would think probably is maybe the only rookie that would be somebody that's going to get a lot of media time, because it's not the whole team. Right. So, and I don't know that they go with Worthy, because look at who else you have there. I mean, are you going to take DeAndre Hopkins away from that moment and Marquise Brown? I mean, there's just so many different guys that you could put in that position, and not saying that Worthy hasn't earned it, because I do think he has. But when you talk about the Chiefs rookies this year, it's not like the class in 2022 where they're all over the place and they're playing like crazy. You have an injury to Jared Wiley, and we haven't even thought about Jared Wiley for 4 months now.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for him, but locks everything down for the team so they can survive this, because media night's going to look like a flashback, folks. Hopefully they have different sweatsuits for the players so we can, on archive footage, tell whether it was this time or last time.
Right.
But they're going to be on a stage. There's going to be all kinds of craziness. Jeff Schwartz will do something absolutely insane. I guarantee you that. That will be all these little mini podiums. You'll get lots of little short bites. Pay it no mind. There's no real questions answered this week. There's no real information given this week. You might find out what a guy had for breakfast, but it ain't going to mean anything when it comes to Sunday.
That's true, other than the fact that I will be curious if the Eagles are as present in their thought process and what they're going to say as the Chiefs always seem to be. The Chiefs will never give you bulletin board material. Are the Eagles going to do that this week? I don't see that happening, but that's the only time that something would actually matter. Because Patrick Mahomes is going to be taking notes, and the entire Chiefs roster is going to be taking notes regardless.
Yeah, there's a notepad everywhere. So what does it look like? You're going to see some footage. There'll be open practice shots. You'll get some at least images from wherever they happen to be practicing. I don't know the locations. It's winter in New Orleans, so it might as well be raining and foggy the whole time. So I don't know if you're going to get a whole lot, but if you do, this is a week where install's been done. You're doing walkthroughs, you're protecting your body. Everybody's trying to get rested and rehabbed, and you're trying to make sure that you're executing, trying to go through plan A, B, C. What happens at D? Where do we go from here?
I was just going to say, I think this is all going to be walkthroughs this week. Mm-hmm. Any practice that they were going to do, any kind of shells or anything else where they might be doing hitting, they were going to do last week. You made a fantastic point. They've already done the install. This is where it's a little bit different than all the other weeks that you prepare for a game, because you already know what's been going on for a whole week. Now you're just literally doing, what can I do to get my body right to be as close to 100% as I possibly can be when the ball kicks off next Sunday night.
And that's probably the thing that we don't give them enough credit for. We should toast them more for getting this roster back full. Obviously, there's a couple of guys that are on IR because they just weren't able to return. But everybody that is available, we're not dealing with nagging injuries. We're not dealing with all that. And that's all for the same point, to get to the point that you can make history. And I know they've already made history because they're playing in the third straight. I get that. That's not the history you're trying to make. You're trying to get that third win. So that's the point.
No, and that's a huge point. This is everything. You win this third game, you go down in the history books forever as the first team to ever do it, and potentially maybe the only team to ever do it. It is very rare, and it goes beyond just the thought process of a team being able to get back after three straight seasons. Because the one thing that you just talked about, and this popped in my mind when you said it, it's that they're healthy, they're getting healthier. But think about the wear and tear that so many of these guys have had on their bodies for 3 straight years now on these long Super Bowl winning runs. And even the ones where they didn't win the Super Bowl, and they're still playing in the Super Bowl. And any of the ones they're going to the postseason and playing the AFC Championship, they're playing 2 or 3 games usually more than anybody else in the NFL, at least. And that takes a toll on a body. And you're playing into February, and you have you're losing 3 weeks or 4 weeks off of rest and recuperation for your body.
Every single time. I mean, because when you look at it, you end up with 17 regular season games, right? And so we just look at last year or 2023, let's take it. You go through 17 regular season games, and you end up with the Dolphins, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Niners to get that done, right? 21 games.
Yep.
They've gone to that many in this span. We're talking over 100 games when some teams played 68. I mean, that's the difference that we're talking about, the grind, not just on this year or this week or this matchup, but on this career, on everybody that's involved with this organization that's been either the whole thing or part of it. That's what you're going for. And the reason is real simple, because if you do this this week, within 7 days, right now, we are talking about them amongst the 73 Dolphins, amongst that group, the Iron Curtain back in the 70s in Pittsburgh, amongst the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, the Broncos of the 90s. I mean, this is everything.
They're up there with the Bulls. You go back to where
we got to go outside of football.
Yeah, no. I'm going outside of football, but you're going back to the Bulls. I mean, that's really what you're going back to. The Bulls won 6 in Jordan's career. Mahomes has a chance, honestly, if he wins this game, he has a chance to really make an argument for him being the best ever. Brady could never do this.
Yeah.
Ever.
He
couldn't even get back to 3 in a row.
Right. And that's the big difference, is you can set all the genres apart. And obviously we always talk about Mahomes versus Brady. But just that matchup isn't enough. What's really coming to me this week is it's not just the Patriots dynasty. It's all the ones that have come before, the ones that have doubled up, the ones that have had their consistent runs. We're talking about the best of the best in the history of the game this week.
Yeah. And the thing that always comes back to me when I start thinking about history and thinking about Brady and Mahomes, and I said this last week when we talked about it, Mahomes is 17 and 3 in playoff games. That's his record in the playoffs. 17 and 3. Yeah. He's already on his own level. It's not even close.
True. It's just out there. I'm telling you. This is crazy to think about. And we'll touch on this more this week as we go through. But it's about having that collection of Lombardi trophies. What do you have to do this week to get that? That list is coming up next. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings. PrizePicks has daily fantasy sports and makes it accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your money. Run your game all season long at PrizePicks. They make it simple, and they even invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out, even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money, even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So sign up today, and you can get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. You don't even have to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the GameTime app and use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play a $5 lineup. Super simple. Download that app, use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and get that 50 bonus for playing a $5 lineup. Super easy over at PrizePicks. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, pretty much anything, even comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year. The energy and excitement is absolutely unbelievable, especially if it's Zach Bryan or somebody that you really dig. Right now, GameTime has made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events, whether it's a new feature, and this one really works, Game Picks. This feature filters out all the fluff. You only get the incredible deals on the great seats that you're looking for. You don't have to waste time searching for thousands of tickets on and off, back and forth. I love this, and I've used it most recently on a comedy show, and we did something over New Year's. It was great. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNFL. That'll get you $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Check out KC Chiefs Corner for everything that Chris is doing over there, and get on NFL33.com and RGR Football this week if you'd like that much more. But we are here 5 days a week on every platform, so make sure you're here. The list is pretty finite. You have to have what you have to have. And this is, I think, something as we go through this list of what our individual thoughts are on how they must get these things to get this next Lombardi. It does reflect upon things that have happened in the past. And so for me, the number one thing is that you can't lose a star during this ballgame. Yes, you're healthy going in. I'm sure this will be on our list as well. But during it, the injury to the Niners backer during the game, I think, was part of what turned that game on its ear. And that's something that they have to guard against. Obviously, it's a little bit more to chance here. But all the preparation that you do this week includes getting sleep, getting your nutrition, staying hydrated, making sure that your body's taken care of, soft tissue massage, the whole 9 yards, so that you don't get there and have an injury. And I think that's something that this week in particular, a lot of people overlook because it's completely behind the scenes.
It's completely behind the scenes, but the other problem that you're running into is your schedule is going to be so far off from what you're used to. Like, you can't do your normal daily schedule. The Chiefs are going to have to try to make it as close to what their daily schedule at the facility could be that they can possibly do it. But that's even going to be a problem because you have all these other events and you have all these other responsibilities that you have to do for Super Bowl. It is a distraction. You're going to lose focus. That's one of the reasons why it's such a big deal to have that week leading up to the Super Bowl with everything installed already, so everybody knows where they are. The install isn't still happening. They know what they're going to be doing at least. And you're right. You have all the other stuff that is behind the scenes. You have the massages. You have, anybody trying to get in a cold tub or a hot tub and just trying to do whatever they can to make their body work right. And you're sleeping in a different environment for an entire week, which is a little bit different than what you're used to. Usually it's just one day. If you're not getting good sleep at night because of something in the environment, you're dealing with that for the entire week. That really affects what you could be doing on Sunday.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's something that the public doesn't see that much because the teams put a lot of effort into normalizing things, especially when you're sleeping in hotel beds and that kind of thing. Some teams I don't know if anybody on the Chiefs, but I know some teams will even travel with some of those like mattress covers that like regulate the heat, regulate the foam pad so that everything's as close to normal as it possibly can be. That's how important those things can be, because when you get to game day, if you have an injury like that you could have prevented, no matter what the cost was, that's a mistake that you just made. And that affects what happens on game night. What do you have?
For me, it's just you have to come out and this is a game where you can't hold anything back. Like, you literally cannot get into a scenario where you come out in the beginning of the second half and you lay an egg and you go 3 and out. And that has happened to the Chiefs too many times this year. I'm not going to say the Eagles are a good enough team to where they're not going to be able to overcome it if it does happen. But this is not the week that you can afford to do that. You have to be on par. You need to have a good script for your first 15 coming out of halftime, let alone what you're starting the game with. And the reality is Reid knows this. Reid is going to have a pretty good idea, and I think he'll have them prepared. But you have to know that you cannot you can't get to your normal conservative ways that Reid does from time to time. He needs to get to a point of attacking and always attacking in this game, because you absolutely do not want to have this game close late, even though that's the type of games the Chiefs have always been in. But all it takes is one play if it's close late. Yeah, you've been there. Yeah, you can usually be the team that makes that play, but all it takes is one bad bounce of a football late in a game, and you could lose your shot at being the only team to ever win 3 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah, I agree completely. The other thing that's super huge for me, and it's more on the staff than it is anybody else, is you have to have a 3-pronged plan, because you cannot allow yourself to get in that position that you were against the Bucs, where your plan was specific for the Bucs to the point where when your protection broke down for Mahomes, you didn't have another backup plan. I think they've done very well this year in being diverse in the way that they attack games. Sometimes they overrun somebody. Sometimes, they sit back and they trust the pocket and they let Patrick look for those deep shots and really try to go vertical. And we see some of that four-vert kind of stuff that we see years past with Tyreek. Sometimes they have to go RPO, which was very, very effective just a short time ago, because that is what alleviates pressure off of the edges. And you got to get the ball out and you got to hit that tempo and you got to take advantage of what that defense gives you. And I do think as we get to later in the week that there are advantages the Chiefs can take against this Eagles defense.
When I look at this, I'm looking at it from the perspective. The first thing I said is they have to be on attack at all times. And I still agree with that. That's obviously the biggest thing to me. But the second biggest thing to me is don't play to your tendencies. And it's really hard to say that and to actually do it. But the real finite difference here for this Chiefs team and any other team that would be in this situation is you really don't know what this Chiefs team is capable of or what they can do. Because the reality is they haven't had this offense all season. They started getting the offense in the playoffs, basically, or the last week before they got to, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you don't have, weeks and weeks and weeks of stuff that you can go pull from. Because not only did you get Marquise Brown back, but you also got Isaiah Pacheco back. And I know a lot of people want to see Kareem Hunt, and I have no problem with that. Kareem Hunt has played fantastic. He deserves his time on the field. He deserves a chance to win a ring. Not saying he doesn't. But you can't tell me that there isn't going to be some fun thing that they could find to do with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco on the field at the same time to just completely fool what the Eagles are thinking is going to be coming. And the same goes for having Xavier Worthy and Marquise Brown and DeAndre Hopkins on the field at the same time. They don't have enough plays that they've run that the Eagles are going to have a great idea as to what they're going to do in every situation. They have some ideas, but I guarantee you they're going to have specific plays designed to beat this Eagles team. Because remember, you go back, Corn Dog was designed to beat that Eagles defense, and it was a perfect play. This is something that they have been scouting probably since the playoffs began. They've been doing some loose scouting of all the NFC teams just to have an idea of what are some of their tendencies, because you get weeks and weeks and weeks of tape, you start seeing things, and that's what's going to be key here. Find something you can take advantage of, and it doesn't have to be something that you're going to run 5 times. It just has to be something that when you get in that situation, oh, this is going to be a touchdown. This is going to work. This is going to be perfect. This is exactly what we want.
And I will tell you this, as a preview of what we'll tell you the rest of the week, folks. They're going to have very specific things. My guess is Corn Dog is still in there.
Oh, yeah.
Because the coverage rules are the coverage rules. And if you get in that situation, they'll be looking for one thing. You can do something off of it. If you want another example of that, go check out RGR, because I just broke down the full backfield plays that scored twice last week in 2 very different situations. There's going to be a wrinkle off of that. And I hope that instead of Gray and Kelce in the backfield, they throw it at him with Hunt and Pacheco in the backfield and make it just look completely different, yet do some similar things. We're going to talk about all of it in depth. That's just a couple of the ideas off the top of my head.
Oh, could you imagine if they put Leo Chenal and Pacheco and Hunt in the backfield all together?
Yeah, I'm here for this all day long. All day long.
Ryan is very excited about thinking about that.
Folks, we hope that you're ready for it. It's going to be a fun week. We're going to have all the information for you. Matt Derrick on Wednesday. We're going to talk to the Eagles Competition Committee, otherwise known as Locked On Eagles, on Thursday. Then we'll preview the big ball game on Friday. Don't miss it. Tomorrow, we're going to get a little bit deeper about some of the ideas and some of the wants that we have. So don't miss this week. Make sure you like, sub, hit that bell, get on YouTube, get on the audio platforms. We appreciate you. Check out all the alternate sites that we have going for both KC Chiefs Corner, NFL 33, and RGR Football. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen. If you are just chancing upon this because you want to know what's going on with the Super Bowl and you're a fan of, I don't know, somebody like the Texans or the Bears, go listen to their shows. Make sure you get all the information you can. We appreciate you being with us today. Hopefully you'll be back with us tomorrow, because we will be back with you, and we'll talk to you then.